Why Liverpool can't afford to wait 12 months for Marc Guehi, as Oliver Glasner's stance revealed. Liverpool are interested in signing both Marc Guehi and Giovanni Lainey this summer, but there is one they simply cannot afford to miss out on. Marc Guehi of Crystal Palace continues to be linked with a move to Liverpool. They say you wait ages for a bus and then two come along at once. That very much seems to be the case for Liverpool, with centre-back long viewed by supporters as a position in desperate need of reinforcement this summer. With Joe Gomez's persistent injury issues and the sale of Jarell Quansah to Bayer Leverkusen, Arne Slot heads into Friday's Premier League opener against Bournemouth with just two fit senior centre-backs at his disposal. That may be about to change, however, with Liverpool stepping up their pursuit of not just Crystal Palace's Marc Guehi, but also Parma teenager Giovanni Lainey, hence two arriving at once. Palace chairman Steve Parish admitted over the weekend, following the London club's Community Shield triumph over Liverpool on penalties, that they cannot afford to lose Guehi for free next summer. His comments strongly suggested a deal could be done before the transfer deadline, unless a new contract is agreed. While some reports suggest Liverpool's pursuit of Guehi is progressing well, others have taken a more cautious view. The Guardian's Ed Aarons claims Palace boss Oliver Glasner would prefer to keep the 25-year-old and see out his contract as they prepare for a European campaign, albeit only in the UEFA Europa Conference League. That same report adds that Guehi is prepared to remain at Palace for one more year if a deal cannot be agreed. It's also worth noting that clubs such as Barcelona and Juventus are expected to show interest next summer should he become a free agent, which only adds urgency for Liverpool to act now and avoid competition down the line. Guehi may favor a switch to Anfield this summer, according to reports, but that could easily change if one of Europe's other heavyweights such as Barcelona joins the race. He represents the ideal addition to Slot's squad this summer as they aim to retain their Premier League title and mount a deeper run in the Champions League. Simply put, Liverpool cannot afford to miss out on him. As already mentioned, depth at centre-back is a serious concern, and the season hasn't even truly begun. Quansah is gone, Gomez is injured, and only Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate are fit and available. There may be some versatility in the squad, with midfielders like Ryan Gravenberch and Wataru Endo capable of filling in if needed. But Liverpool have already learned the hard way what a lack of depth can do. During the injury crisis of 2020-21, they lost the ability to defend their title and almost missed out on a top-4 finish entirely. Lainey alone cannot be viewed as sufficient depth for a squad aiming to compete on all fronts. At just 18 and with only one full senior season under his belt, he should be seen as one for the future. A smart signing to get ahead of the curve before other top clubs come calling further down the line. Guehi, however, is a signing for the present and is someone who would provide Liverpool with the depth and quality to rotate Van Dijk and Konate regularly. That's a luxury Slot arguably lacked last season, as he clearly didn't place full trust in Quansah, and that was reflected in the 22-year-old's limited minutes. Liverpool were right to move Quansah on, as he will benefit from being first choice elsewhere. The inclusion of a buyback clause in the deal suggests the club recognizes his potential and have left the door open for a future return. But that move only makes sense if the player brought in to replace him is an upgrade and capable of making an immediate impact. Guehi is that player. His quality, leadership, and contract situation make him a no-brainer. It's also worth remembering that Liverpool face a similar dilemma with Konate, who is now entering the final year of his own contract. Whether a renewal can be agreed remains to be seen, and it is no surprise Real Madrid are reportedly keeping a close eye on the situation. Guehi's arrival would provide a buffer against that scenario. He would already have a year under his belt if Konate were to depart, which would soften the blow and ensure continuity. And with minimal, if any, competition for his signature this summer, Guehi is simply a signing Liverpool cannot afford to wait on, or risk missing out on altogether. Liverpool submit €145 million offer for Alexander Isak. Liverpool have reportedly submitted a fresh bid worth €145 million for one-away Newcastle United striker Alexander Isak. The Sweden superstar is desperate to join Arne Slot's side before the summer transfer window ends on the 1st of September, and Liverpool have lodged a second offer for his services, having seen their opening bid of €127.5 million. £110 million, rejected. That is according to ex-account Indy Kayla, who posted on social media. The situation with Alexander Isak at Newcastle United is reaching a boiling point. Tensions are so high that some officials and players are completely ignoring him around the training ground. It's clear there's a rift. Sources suggest that Captain Jamal Lascelles has even advised the club owners to consider Isak's wishes, indicating that this isn't just a minor issue, could affect harmony going forward. Adding to the saga, Isak has been told to avoid being seen alone in Newcastle city centre, while Liverpool's interest is ongoing. We understand Liverpool are offering £120 million up front, with potential add-ons pushing the total bid to a staggering £125 million, €145 million. Newcastle United haven't rejected this latest proposal, but will only accept once new replacements arrive. Nicholas Jackson, Chelsea, Yoane Wissa, Brentford, and Samu Agahawa, Porto, have all been linked with a move to Newcastle in recent weeks, with the club moving on to alternative targets after losing the battle to sign both Hugo Ekitike and Benjamin Sesko. Isak handed in a transfer request in late July, while he reportedly has left his home in Newcastle after being excluded from a family day last week. What has Eddie Howe said about Alexander Isak? Newcastle boss Eddie Howe has been asked about Isak's future on a number of occasions throughout pre-season, but he has remained tight-lipped regarding questions over the Sweden star's long-term future at St. James's Park. After Newcastle's 2-0 defeat to Atletico Madrid on Sunday, Howe told reporters, "I think everything is in play. I've said many times he is contracted to us. He is our player. The club make the decision on his future. I don't know what that will be. Of course I have a preferred outcome. I want the best and the strongest squad possible, but I also want players that really want to play for this football club." Isak, who scored 27 goals in 42 games last season, has 3 years remaining on his current contract at Newcastle, while his estimated transfer value, ETV, stands at €117.1 million. Liverpool stepping up bid to sign Palace's Guehi. Liverpool are stepping up their attempts to sign Crystal Palace and England centre-back Mark Guehi. Palace captain Guehi has a year left on his contract, but chairman Steve Parish said earlier this week he could be sold this summer to avoid him moving on a free transfer in 12 months' time. Sources have told BBC Sport that Liverpool have held initial talks with a view to signing the 25-year-old before the summer transfer window shuts. Liverpool are also trying to sign Parma centre-back Giovanni Leni. The 18-year-old Italian is not seen as a potential rival for Guehi, but more as one for the future. Guehi was the subject of bids worth up to £65 million from Newcastle last year. The FA Cup winners are believed to want £40 million for him now, but Liverpool want to pay less than that. The Reds have already spent about £270 million this summer, though they have recouped about £170 million through player sales. They have also had a £110 million bid for Alexander Isak rejected by Newcastle. Those sources have told BBC Sport the Swede remains determined to move to Anfield. Signing Guehi and Isak would take Liverpool's summer spending above £400 million. Alexander Isak phone call to Eddie Howe speaks volumes amid Newcastle United and Liverpool saga. Newcastle United's world was rocked when it emerged that Alexander Isak wants to leave the club. On the 24th of July 2025, news broke that Alexander Isak wanted to leave Newcastle United. He was not going on the club's pre-season trip to Asia, and he has not trained with the rest of the Newcastle United squad since. Isak wants to join Liverpool, but it remains to be seen if the Reds will meet his £150 million asking price. Whether they do or not, Newcastle United's stance is clear. Isak is not for sale, with the 25-year-old on course to stay at St. James's Park. Meanwhile, that is not what the Sweden international wants, having informed the club of his desire to leave long before the 24th of July. Alexander Isak told Eddie Howe he wants to leave Newcastle United last season. Incredibly, Isak had actually told Eddie Howe about his decision to call time on his Newcastle United career when the 2024-25 season was still going on. That is according to The Athletic and David Ornstein, who have dropped a fresh bombshell with regards to the Isak situation. According to The Athletic, Isak actually told Howe that he wants to leave 2 weeks before the end of last season. They add that he then reinforced his stance to the Newcastle United manager after the loss to Everton on the final day of the season. That was the day that the Magpies secured Champions League qualification. Even when Newcastle were still pushing to qualify for the Champions League, Isak had made it clear that he wants to leave. That is extremely disappointing. What Alexander Isak is now saying about his Newcastle United future, fast forward to the present day, and the situation has only gotten worse. Isak is training on his own, while he is not going to be involved in the Magpies Premier League opener against Aston Villa. In fact, he may never represent the club again. The Athletic state, Isak never wants to play for Newcastle United again and has no plans to reintegrate into the squad. It is another huge twist in this roller coaster of a story. That puts the pressure back on Newcastle, as even if they keep him at St. James's Park for another year, they might not be able to play him. It is an absolute mess of a situation, and one that has completely tarnished Isak's legacy at St. James's Park. For many, he would have been considered a Newcastle United legend for what he did in the 2025 Carabao Cup final. 5 months later, it is quite spectacular how things have unraveled. Liverpool and Crystal Palace to resume negotiations over £45 million. Mark Guehi transfer. Crystal Palace beat Liverpool 3-2 on penalties after a 2-2 draw took the 2025 Community Shield final to a shootout on Sunday, but talks between the two clubs for the transfer of captain Mark Guehi are set to resume. Hugo Ekitike and Jeremy Frimpong marked their first competitive fixture with the Reds, with a goal apiece, but will have to wait for the Premier League season opener against Bournemouth for a chance at a first win. Liverpool's need for depth in attack and defense was again highlighted on Sunday, with Arne Slot's bench not as strong as it was last season, given recent transfers and the tragic death of Diogo Jota. The Luis Diaz and Darwin Núñez transfers mean that Ekitike is the club's only strikers, with Cody Gakpo emphatic in the last year that he is not a number 9 and prefers playing on the wing. Liverpool remain interested in Alexander Isak and now appear to be readying another attempt to sign Mark Guehi. Last month, they were in pole position to sign Guehi before they pivoted to Isak, but they are ready to return to the table now. Liverpool launches a bid to sign Mark Guehi to replace Jarell Quansah. Since Quansah made his £35 million switch to Bayer Leverkusen, Liverpool have had a problem at centre-back, but they are now moving to solve the issue with a move to sign Mark Guehi. According to a report from Spanish news outlet, Fichajes titled Liverpool launches a bid to sign Mark Guehi. They claim that Liverpool and Crystal Palace will resume negotiations for Mark Guehi, valued at £45 million. Arne Slot reportedly wanted to sign Guehi since last season, and with the sheer amount of games Liverpool must play, if they want to compete for every trophy, signing the England international is a pivotal move. Guehi, for his part, wants to qualify for the England squad for the 2026 FIFA World Cup and wants to play regularly enough to figure in Thomas Tuchel's thinking. Having won the Premier League last season, Liverpool are likely to be keen to make a stronger push in Europe after being eliminated from the Champions League by eventual winners PSG. Guehi's presence would enable Slot to rest Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate as he sees fit to keep them fresh for the end-of-season run-in.